Hello. Back in the streets for another panel. Open panel. I think this is going to be just a general open panel. I think I'll start trying to do like a topic in the morning and maybe an open panel in the afternoon or evening. That way we get a balance. And of course, the topics will still have panels attached. All right, let's catch up on social media. Mm, a bunch of politics stuff and a bunch of Israel stuff. Um, I guess that's all. I don't really have anything. I'm just sitting here to wait for a panel. That's kind of all I'm here for tonight. Let's see what's going on YouTube. Provo has a Digital Drug Addicts Anonymous open panel. Maybe I should have hopped up on that one. Oh, what kind of light? Oh, TML's live too. Let's see who's on there. He's watching a video. Wait, what? It didn't even show up on the news at all. Um, wow, you have. I'm sure there's like videos and stuff. I'm gonna look at Twitter, see if I can find some pictures. Mysterious light spark suggestion. This was 2 days ago. Spike, where are you getting this from? Cause I'm not finding anything. Let me see if there's anything on Twitter. I can't find it. I can't find it in the news. I can't find it on Twitter. There was one over Texas 2 days ago, and mysterious light sparks suggestive UFO sighting in the Midlands, in the UK. Wow, this is like a news story that you have to put together yourself. They don't even. Oh, you. Okay, so I heard it on YouTube. I saw it on a video. Okay. Those are not. Uh, I think that's going to become more and more common, and that's really not. That shouldn't be an acceptable source to anybody. I heard it on the radio or I saw it on a video. Should never be the source of a narrative. I mean, it could be the source of it. It should never be the justification for a narrative. You're seeing it too, Abe? Because isn't that how War of the World started? People heard something on their radio. What? Are y'all fucking with me right now? This is so weird. Or maybe it's so very now, and I'm the one that's archaic and weird. Oh, okay. Well, it works better if it's a real topic or if it's like a conceptual topic, like a mental health or philosophy or something like that, because lights and parts of the country that I'm not even around, I'm gonna have very little to say about. What is that, Abe? Telescopes? The Hindustan Times. That's my new acceptable source. Now, in any like just something I can read, any kind of article, really, because they'll give me sources from there. I could follow up, and if I see something in the article, I could try to find another source for it, etc. But it's at least a starting point. But some gossip you heard, there's nothing concrete to show the person. You're just repeating a rumor. I heard it on the radio. I saw it on a YouTube video. Well, where's the YouTube video? We really have to clean up our information spheres somehow. It's all junked up with noise. I appreciate those, Spike. Thank you. Um, I've been really low energy today. I've just been kind of flat. Not really thinking about don't really have much on my mind. Not really been engaged in anything I'm actually on a music kick because Leggy and I are gonna do that music series soon. Hang on. All right. Wikipedia is a good source because it gives you links to primary sources. So it's a good starting point. Any little thread, as long as it's not Alex Jones or something like that, any little semi-credible article. Well, I mean, what do y'all want to talk about today? I'm gonna I don't know what my plans are. I was thinking about diving more into that peer stuff, but it's I don't know. I don't want to just keep doing more of the same. And maybe it's more the same for me because I've been immersed in it for like the last decade. But no, we're not doing drama. There's no more drama here. This is a drama recovery panel. I'll show the chart today for people that missed it. Uh, we have a zone system now, color coded and everything. Okay, so the red zone down here, people close to the bottom, likely been affected by long-term damage, making them the most difficult people to help. People here are more likely to damage the quality foundation of programs or channels they accept to. This is the drama zone. This is that toxic drama universe. This is more of like kind of your ordinary coming out of the drama but not really fully into health. The green is the health. Like once you cross this threshold of independence, that's the threshold from an external of control to an internal locus of control and an awareness and deployment of your personal agency. So my channel is positioned right around here to help people cross this threshold into this green part with all these green arrows that keep moving you upward towards self-determination. And these red arrows that bring you down into the drama zone are all the toxic drama and drama people that have been finding their way here. So um, I'm staying here and I'm avoiding any of these red arrows that's going to bring it down here. Yeah, Mr. B, he used to have a different website and he had the that's where I got the downloads from. And I guess when he upgraded the new website, the link to the actual downloads are broken. So I tried to post the photos in the community tab, but for some reason YouTube cut off the tops and bottoms, and so I can't figure out if you want copies of the charts, I can get them to you. Let me know how to just let me know where to send them. But he used to have them available for download on his site. The yes, the here. Yeah, the red zone is the bottom part right here. See, it has the little guy kind of crawling around on the ground, not able to really hold himself erect and kind of beaten down by life. And then as you go up, you get to this threshold of see the zone of transformation. That's what this between these two dotted lines. People have the most potential. We talked about developmental potential earlier. Maybe that's what I could talk about. Their upward and downward forces are close to equal. So one force can tilt it in one direction or another. So if you're in that area where your forces are kind of balanced, your troll drama force is balanced with your drive for transcendence and personal growth, um, then it only takes a force from one direction or another to tilt it. So I'm trying to be a force that tilts it. If you're in that zone, like on the threshold of that zone, the force that tilts you over the zone. Um, Earlier this morning, I likened it to an airplane. Oh yeah, that's cool. I had an ex that was like that too. He had to look at the red lights, and and some places didn't have. I forgot what it was. They didn't have. They weren't vertical or horizontal. They had their lights positioned a different way, and it threw him off. The pan. Oh, tell me about that. I don't know about that. Yeah, I would love to find a way to have people download these. Um, what was I talking about? I don't remember. That happens every time I look at comments. Um, I'll I'll present a little bit of developmental potential. Developmental potential is a concept from Dabrowski. It's kind of the amount of drive you have to go beyond your basic instincts and your primary socialization and like become more of your authentic self, like kind of to actualize your potential and your authentic self, independent of any societal conditioning or societal expectations. And he postulates that some people have more of this developmental potential than others, and that's what drives them to like this intense um, mastery or personal growth. And it's things like crises, trauma that start to disintegrate that level of primary social integration and allow that authentic self to emerge. Oh yeah, I was talking about the airplane. Earlier I likened it to a plane. And so, hang on, let me get back to this other chart. Uh, I likened it to an airplane. So imagine you are in the cockpit of your own plane, and the you can make the plane go downward or you can make the plane go upward, but you have to know how to drive the plane, and you have to have the control over the plane. And so when you get to this threshold, that's kind of like graduating pilot school. And once you cross the threshold, then you finally are able to drive the plane, and then you can soar it into the heavens. Or you can bring it back down to the drama zone if you want, but at least you are now in charge of your plane. And so that's the goal, is to put you in charge of your own plane, and then you can take it in whatever direction you want. And I'm trying to make this be a channel where, for those of us that want to take our planes in a higher direction, upward. Okay, back to the other chart. Okay, and so developmental potential, which he thought was mostly fixed or genetic. I talked about there's this thing called the first factor, which is your biology. It's your genetics. It's everything about you that um, makes any kind of demands on your consciousness that comes from the body. And then you have the second factor, which is your socialization, like everything that I guess, makes demands upon you that comes from outside, other people, societal expectations, like ethics, etc. Um, and the bodily emotions are more like the aggression, the sexual. This is like the satanic emotions. You could probably put all of the deadly sins down here, and the socialization is what helps kind of civilize these so that we can all share the planet together. And then the social instinct is more the emotions like shame, guilt, um, conformity, um, agreeableness, etc. And so that's the second factor is your social environment, your the environment, everything outside of you. Usually it's other people. Like it's nature can have an influence on you too, but usually when we're talking about the second factor, we're talking about the influences that other people have had on you. Our media, our art, or the creations of other people. It's the societal sphere. And the first factor is the biological sphere. And he has what's called the third factor, which I've talked about before. And that kind of emerges from those two, but it's distinct from them. And it's the part of you that is able to be aware of both of the first two factors. So you become aware of your biological impulses, drives, motivations, and you're also aware of your societal, like the social pressures, the societal expectations, um, and you're able to kind of the third factor is independent, emerges from, but is independent of those two factors. And you're able to use this third factor to guide and direct the other two. So all of your biological impulses and all of your societal influences, you're able to become aware of, and then you're able to choose at that point where to direct them instead of just passively reacting to them and kind of being on autopilot. And it's the third factor that allows this. And the third factor is what could be used to consciously begin to direct your growth toward a higher set of values that you determine for yourself because they are more in line with the authentic person that you are, that you discover through the process of this disintegration. And the third factor includes things like dynamisms, which I'll cover on a separate topic because there's many dynamisms. Overexcitabilities, there's emotional, intellectual, imaginational, sensory motor, like the rocking, just physical, psychomotor excitability, and sensory or aesthetic, like a sensitivity to light, sound, textures, or art. It could be an aesthetic sensitivity. I would almost add a sixth excitability, which is like a moral sensitivity, um, but that's debatable. But anyway, there's these overexcitabilities that can help drive this growth. Your instincts, any special abilities you have, neurodivergence, giftedness, etc. All of these combine to form this developmental potential that can propel growth beyond just this social level that people get adjusted. He calls it negative adjustment because you're adjusted to society, but you're not adjusted to your true self. And that's what we've talked about positive maladjustment before too. When who you are is you're not adjusted to I use the example of me in the workplace. Like I've been in workplaces before where I was overqualified. I had coworkers that complained that I worked at too high of a pace and it was setting a standard that the rest of them couldn't work up to, and it was making them look like they were less competent as employees. And I would say it's well that's not my fault. I don't have a lower pace I can work at. This is my normal baseline pace. And so I'm sorry that's happening, but I'm not going to work less or do less quality work just to make you feel better. That was positive maladjustment. I was maladjusted to that environment, but not because of anything negative, but because I, I actually had strengths that were above and beyond what that environment could sustain. And so people with high developmental potential and like a strong sense of authentic self that's wanting to emerge usually find themselves in situations where they're not adjusted to the environment around them, but not necessarily for negative reasons, but for Like the fact that you're not adjusted is actually a strength. It's an indication that you've already moved beyond that and you're capable of more than that environment can provide. All right, let's see what Mr. Cord has to say.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
How are you? How's your day?
It was a pretty good day. I got a decent amount done. Got an article written, and I even leveraged like the article writing into like a work session stream on my own channel. Uh,
Oh,
Mr. V was there, and so um, got to have some like conversations about what I was doing and some other investments. So it's getting getting better at the whole streaming thing. I guess is a way of putting it.
good. How long did you go?
Uh, about 2.5 hours, I say. Then I finished writing the article not long after that, and um, then I realized that my bank account's almost empty.
Oh.
Uh, and I got to pay the guy who just mowed my lawn, so I had to like move some money around.
Transgender, I did explain it. I explained it this morning. I've explained it on other streams, and I explained it just now. If you go to the community tab, um, there's I tried to post the chart. If they're in the Discord too, but it cut off the tops and bottoms. I'm going to try to find a way to get the actual charts posted. Mr. B was talking about something. What is it? Pancake stack or something. Yeah, I understand, but like that's why the streams are recorded. I can't go recap every stream every time. You have to go back and watch. Like you are, that's locus of control. Take responsibility for going back and getting your own recap and not depending on me to recap everything for you. You have the power to do that. The platform provides that ability.
Yep.
That's not my problem. I'm not in control of it. People can come here and they are in control of their experience here. They get what they want out of it. They could put 5 minutes in it. They can put 8 hours in it. I'm not in control of any of that. I'm just making it available. But I'm not going to spoon feed it to you. This is all about self empowerment. Yeah, Mike, I'm taking a drama break. So we're not. I'm gonna have all the drama people like take a break for at least a week. So not tonight, not tomorrow either.
Okay,
And
drama break
Barber Night,
could be
that
good.
includes you too. So you can stay here as long as you keep the drama comments out of it. Which, hello. Um, all right, I'm going to make one little drama comment to Witch because I owe her an explanation. Um, the thing I was talking about, and if you have a way for me to provide you a link, I can give you a link. But it was a conversation on your friend's stream, and it looks like she was using you as an example of me harass. She accuses me of harassing women, and she was using your appearance on the panel as an example of that. So that's what I had talked about yesterday. I guess it wasn't you actually saying that. It was her kind of saying it through you, using your name. And I can get you that timestamp video if you want. All right, back to Joe.
I was just about to say, so my being on here means I have proved myself as a non-drama actor.
Yes, you have crossed the velvet rope.
All right, yeah, take
You're
that, drama people.
VIP. But you kind of showed up as a non-drama actor to begin
Hmm.
with. Because
Right.
we all met on PF Young's channel originally. That's my channel grew out of the PF Young community that I was a part of, and that was not a drama channel. PF Young does not do drama, and so
Right.
the little group of us that met before we were a non-drama crowd from the start.
And it's part of the whole IDW thing, which like the point of that is to be able to talk to each other about things, potentially controversial things, without instigating drama. Um, and so yeah, it's sort of like I certainly me at this point, I just when I see things escalate to that, I just kind of step aside, and if I don't leave, I'll just quietly observe and wait for it to subside naturally.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to subside here because I'm going to help it along.
Mhm.
So tell me about this Monopoly game you're thinking about doing on the channel.
Um, Yeah, so I thought about ways to get people more interested and um um like willing to play and maybe really want to think of it from a risk management perspective. Not that that didn't occur at all in the game we had, but I think there's a difference when there's skin in the game. And what would be better is if there was like an actual prize to be won. Probably easiest would be a cash prize. The tricky thing is if people have to pay to enter for a cash prize, then it can violate gambling laws. One way around that is if the contestants don't actually have to pay to get in. So the payment in legal terms is called consideration. If you don't make consideration a requirement for um, participation in the contest, then it's not considered gambling. So what you could do, or a channel will say could do, anybody could do it this way, is you could just have fans contribute to the channel for the event, and then basically say this is what the prize pool will be based on the fan contributions to support, the content that would be the Monopoly streamed game, and then the winner gets the prize. And so the people playing have something at stake, which is the prize, but they didn't have to gamble to get it.
So, like, they wouldn't, if you ask them to pay, that's considered gambling.
Right. Yeah, I was looking into
So
that
you'd have
because
to do
it's
it in a
like
way where they didn't have to pay to play.
so there's three things that have to come together to make it gambling, right? One is that there has to be a prize to be won. That's the obvious one. Um, the second one is that they have to put something up. They have to put something at risk to get that, right? That's the other obvious thing. And then the third thing is that it has to be chance based instead of skill based. Now, with a game like Monopoly, it's tricky because some parts of it are chance based and other parts are skill based in terms of, maybe
How well
how
you can
skilled you,
manage your risk.
yeah, how well you can manage your risk. Exactly. The deal making as well. Maybe there's a social skill element to it. Um, for probably more pertinent in real life than in a stream, but even so, that could be a strength folks have, and that part is not random, right? That part is specific to you and your ability to leverage it into a victory. But it varies from state to state how much like chance is allowed to be part of the equation. Like if it's half skill, half chance, it can vary a bit. Like example being and this was actually joked about in Super Smash Brothers community. There it's a competitive scene for that, and so
Uh,
people can choose which characters they play.
excuse,
Oh yeah,
please.
yeah.
Super Smash Brothers. What is that?
Oh, it's a fighting game. It uses Nintendo characters like Mario and
Oh,
Luigi.
okay. It's a video game.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
and for the most part, it's completely skill based. You have to just know how to control your character. Time your jumps and your punches and your blocks and everything. But a handful of characters have some attacks or moves that are chance based. And so it's not 100% skill, but because it's like 99.9% skill based, um, uh, it's mostly in most places illegal to have a tournament where people pay to enter the tournament and then they win a cash prize if they win the tournament, which is how most of the competitive tournaments go. But with Monopoly, it is much more than 0.01% chance based. It's probably at least 50% chance. Although I still think that the person who plays the best is very likely to win. Especially having watched the Chilled Chaos channel when he plays Monopoly, he regularly wins, even though he's playing often against like five. Well, a game of five people against four people, sometimes six people. um, and for him, it really just came down to the deal making. Interestingly, he was not always great at managing his risk, but he was really good at deal making.
Hmm. So if you're good at least one, you have a chance. You have an edge.
Yeah, yeah. There's the deal making is which involves what you do with other people, and then the risk management is sort of like deciding when to do whatever with what you have, regardless of what other people say.
Oh,
And he could sort of like plan like some of the things he wanted. Like he could plan which monopolies he would want to get in advance better, and either know to prioritize those. Um, like he might do like like what is it? It's that old story where like someone has to like go and trade a bunch of things, like barter a bunch of things to get the one thing they really need in the end or whatever. I forget what it's called. Sometimes he'll do stuff like that. So he could. There's some skill in it. Oh,
well,
I
we
see
have a
Henry's here.
cute
Hello,
little
Henry.
dog that might be interested in joining,
Yeah, I've
as long
seen
as it's
Henry
not gambling.
before. I don't think I've actually seen him in panel before though.
I remember him because he was here when there was like two or three dog pictures all at once.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. And I thought he might have been a troll, or at least one of them was a troll that was just using a dog picture because everyone else was. But
Yeah,
he
it's
turned out
possible.
to be one of the legitimate ones, I think.
If vanilla Dr. Pepper's pretty good.
I suspect this might be transgender Jesus, who I just had to ban back under another name.
Henry?
This person.
Well, Henry was here before transgender Jesus got
This
banned.
this this person right here that I'm posting.
Oh, Gen X Joe. Oh, okay. I see now. Well, you were highlighting that. I thought you were. I didn't notice it said Joe at first.
Yep, you're one of our lost boys now.
Who is it? It's the guy named Lost Boys who keeps saying one of us. By that, does he just mean I'm part of the Gen X Jeff fandom? Is that what he's saying basically?
Maybe you're an outlier. Do you have your membership?
No, I don't have membership. I haven't paid for it, and I haven't been gifted a sub.
Maybe that could be a prize. Free memberships at Outliers in Exile.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, but I was thinking for my event, if I were to do it, um, let's say, you know, uh, let's say we whatever the amount raised is, we would keep raising until a certain amount had been contributed, so that the prize is attractive enough for people to want to play. But let's say we raised $100, give like 60 to the winner, and then 40 goes to the channel host, and generally do that approach where the winner's still getting the majority of it.
I wonder
And then
if there's
also,
other channels that monetize games like that.
could be.
Well, Mr. B,
Uh,
you'll certainly have to join. So you
I
can
think he was
have the
pointing at
experience
Spike.
of defeat for once in your life. I think it'll be healthy. It'll contribute to your personal growth
Yeah.
and intellectual humility.
Yeah, and one thing I was thinking is I could give everyone a free risk management. Um, YouTube has guidelines as well as state requirements.
Let's see.
Well, I mean, are they not allowed to host contests? Because it seems like people do like, I'll give you this if you do this kind of thing a lot.
I'm seeing a lot of articles on how to make money playing video games, but not how to maybe not board games. Let me.
I mean, there are people that like will like host online tournaments and then like stream it, like their coverage of it on YouTube, like gamers and stuff that do that.
I'm not finding anything so far. Chuck, do you know where we can get more information? Yes, I have. I've won. I've been undefeated that way too. Oh, well, Barbara, send him over. We need a spoiler. What's the opposite of a tycoon? That's what I am.
Opposite of a tycoon?
A peasant.
It's like
I'm a
tycoon isn't
monopoly
just a rich
peasant.
person, but like it's a rich person with something else to it. Like a very shrewd, wealthy person who like dominates in a certain trade or industry. So what would the opposite of that be? I actually feel like the opposite of it would be another type of rich person, but who's like a trust fund baby.
I was thinking more like peasant.
Yeah, it's also starting to get colder here, so I'm wearing
I noticed that. I was
bulkier
seeing
clothes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you changed your look up a little bit. Is
Hmm.
that would look good with the army hat? Did you wash it yet?
Oh no, I still have a pile of laundry, but this actually
Oh, okay.
is part of the winter army uniform.
Oh,
So if you remember, like the Iraq era uniforms that had that green and tan digital camo and the tan boots, you might have noticed that they also had a tan undershirt that was this color. That's just a t-shirt. Well, this is the undershirt you can use for a cold weather environment in that same uniform.
what is
It's
it?
also
The,
it's basically it's a tan undershirt, but it's like a fleece liner that would put go under the camo uniform, like so you're
oh, so what you're wearing now would go under camo?
yes, yeah, go
Oh,
under the
okay.
camo uniform. So like you know how if you saw them in their normal look, you would see the uniform and you will see like you'll usually see like the t-shirt
Yeah,
like there as their undershirt. And it would be tan like this if you remember like the Iraq era army uniforms. It would be tan like
because
this.
it's desert.
Yeah, basically it had that desert lean to it, and the new camo it doesn't look like that. It's the multicam with like a
What? Let me
brownish
see.
green undershirt. But yeah, so I have a lot of my old military clothing that I'll just wear for convenience sometimes.
I don't like the
This
new
is known as
camo.
the waffle shirt because it has this waffle pattern on it. You can kind of see it on the outside too.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice it first.
Yeah.
I thought it was fleece.
It is kind of fleece, but it's just got the waffle stitching pattern. And the fleece is more on the inside. Like if you look here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who does the military contract with like specific people to design their? Is that part of the military industrial complex?
Yeah, no, stuff like that. They have companies that think this stuff up and they buy
Maybe I
contracts
could
on
get
it.
a contract with the military to
You could.
do like a peer support channel for their veterans. I actually have a friend that works at the VA. He's a therapist, and he's going through some woke bullshit for some of his beliefs, and they keep calling him into investigations, and he's doing some blogs and podcasts and social media trying to expose the DEI and the Veterans Administration.
Oh yeah, I'm looking here. Because Chuck mentioned the YouTube guidelines. It says your contest must be free of charge to enter. Don't forget to check your local lottery laws. So that complies. Oh, that means yeah, there could be no circumstances in which somebody must would um have to pay to enter a contest. Interesting. So even some of the tournaments that get hosted through YouTube streams might be illegal technically. Illegal under Google rules, not under like the law.
Wait, say it again. What might be legal?
So I'm looking at Google's page about YouTube contest policies. So if you wanted to host a contest on YouTube, and one thing they note is that your contest must be free of charge to enter. So the contestants could not be charged money to enter.
Could they still win a pot?
Yes. So what you would have to do is ask channel supporters to contribute to the pot. And
Which that was your idea anyway.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That was to get around the consideration rule that governs gambling, and that's probably why YouTube has that policy. Is they're just echoing the consideration rule because that would probably be the easiest one to avoid trouble. Because a contest without a prize isn't fun, and a contest that's purely skill based, well, that kills a lot of contests, some of which maybe have chance as a component. Um, so let's see.
You have to come up with some official rules. Yeah, it looks like cover your ass stuff mostly.
Yeah. So
you have to like include all of these written things to make sure that you're covered for the liability and not them.
yeah, and then I mean, it just sounds like they're echoing stuff that one, it's the gambling laws, and two, laws that would make for a valid contract, basically. So still good to keep in mind.
Because I know that like traveling fools and other people do trivia. Like there's
Hmm.
trivia YouTube contest, and that's monetized somehow. Okay, Chuck, coming up. There you go. Do you
He's
want a
gonna give
wrench?
someone.
Like I don't. You're our elder. You should have a wrench. I don't mind giving it to you. Oh, wildlife, thanks. That's the content I originally started to do my channel. In fact, most of the early part of my channel is that. And last year in May it was Mental Health Month, and I did a topic a day for 31 days, all on mental health, and I had different guests on, and so that's full of mental health topics. And I'm trying to get my channel back to that. Okay, Chuck, I'll keep your wrench on. You look good in purple, but just don't just mod the trolls and stuff, but don't over moderate. All right, let me see what this is. Oh yeah, that's what we're on right now. That's what Joe and I are looking at.
Oh, that's why he wanted the wrench in order to provide the link. Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Yeah, I think it could be done. Because if you can figure out how to do it for Monopoly, I can modify it for all kind of games.
Yeah, what would be really cool, I was even thinking earlier today, is if you could make an alternate version of Monopoly that has some variation thrown into it, or the properties aren't always exactly like the same. I guess one way of putting it is, are you familiar with that board game Settlers of Catan?
Yeah, I've played before.
Okay, and so you know how it's always essentially the same game, but the variables get mixed up more, right? Like
That's how Cosmic Encounter is too, which is what Powers
yeah,
Monopoly is drawn from.
yeah, and so uh, like the resource tiles won't always be in the same spot, and even if they were in the same spot, they won't always have the same rolling odds, for example, right? Um, and so I thought it would be interesting if Monopoly could be mixed up in ways like that, where um, maybe certain properties don't appear in the same space all the time, or maybe like their rent values are changed somewhat each time. Just things like that that would change, like so that you don't always have the default way. Oh, this is how I need to play the board. But you would have to always sort of analyze it and think, what's the risk reward balance on this board? Anything that forces analysis will inherently force um, sort of a novel experience of risk management, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's probably games out there that provide that, and you're
Yeah.
just trying to
I mean,
modify Monopoly.
and Catan basically does that. My one gripe with Catan, if I want to play a game with risk management, and Catan I think is my favorite board game. Um, but there's less risk management to it because it's hard to lose things in Catan. You usually just sort of gain and you can stop growing, but you can't really lose what you've got. Um, and the object of Catan isn't to be the last one standing, it's to be the first to 10 victory points. And 11, I think, if you have like a bunch of people. But um, whereas Monopoly is, you don't actually have to get a Monopoly to win. You just have to be the only one who doesn't go bankrupt. It,
Right.
it is technically possible to win without buying a single property. I don't know if that's ever happened, but you could do it.
Alan, where's the Scottish girls?
Oh, okay.
He waited days for them. Do you know how to use Tabletop Simulator?
I don't. I heard of it, but I don't think I've
I
ever
have it
seen
on
it used.
Steam, and it can play. There's many board games it can play, but it's I can't figure out how to use it. It's very fussy
Mhm.
because it really is a board game simulator. You have to do everything by hand as though you were play. It doesn't automate anything for you.
Ah, okay.
So you have to set up the game manually by hand with the controls. You have to deal the cards, shuffle the deck, move the pieces, all with the game controls. And I can't figure out how to work them.
They watched Night Ago and you weren't here, Alan. Okay.
Oh, well, what time is it over there? I'm beginning to wonder about these Scottish girls.
I was always wondering.
Oh, it's my God, it's 4 in the morning? Are you just
Yeah.
getting up or just going to bed? Thank you, wildlife. Thank you. That's I'm trying to get back on mission. That's what I originally started the channel. That's the kind of work I was doing before 2020, and then I'm trying to continue to do virtually. So I
Hello,
appreciate it. That
Alan.
that means a lot. I hope it's helpful to other people. Well, if we get enough people, we can play games tonight.
Doable. I'll probably be going to bed in about half an hour, but
Oh
um
yeah, it's late over there.
yeah, East Coast.
Yeah, I want to start like diversifying, like having some game streams, some topic streams, some open panel streams. Leggy and I are going to do that music discussion stream. So just different types of programming throughout the
Oh
day or the
man.
week.
This is sad. I think I've had this away for since like the winter, last winter, and I'm seeing like these little dog hairs on here that are like probably have remained on it, but it's like it's my sister's dog, and he just died this summer. So
Oh,
um yeah, it's just making me realize, oh yeah, he's no longer around. He just happened to be stuck to the.
maybe they could clone him from that. I could
It could be.
surprise
He
her
was
for
an interesting
Christmas.
dog.
What kind was he?
He was a Caissond. Um, a Caissondin are a Dutch breed. They're also known as a German Spitz. They're kind of medium sized. Like
Are
they're
they real? Are they
small.
fluffy?
Yeah, very fluffy.
Okay, I'm looking at him now.
Yeah, and they grew a thick poofy coat um because they were on barge ships and they were used to catch rats on barge ships. So the big poofy coat kind of protects them from rat bites. Um,
So did this coat evolve specifically because of rats?
I think they bred because it
Oh, it's
helped for
bred.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Look
but
at
and
this.
they're not.
This
They're
looks bred. That doesn't look natural at all.
yeah. I mean, all dog breeds are selectively bred for certain traits, and so
What's the natural dog? Like, is there an original breed?
that's what the wolf is, the gray wolf.
Oh, because
Yeah,
aren't
all
they related
dogs.
to bears too?
I think like um as mammals, they might be bears and dogs might be more closely related to each other than say dogs and cats, but um I think dogs are even somewhat closely
They
related to
share
like
a
whales.
prehistoric ancestor. Just looked it up.
Yeah. Um but yeah, dogs are still technically part of the wolf
They
species, and
belong
their
to the same
genome
class. They're
is
technically
still
what?
very similar to they can interbreed with wolves. Um so they're like a separate subspecies of the same species. Kind of like sometimes modern humans are differentiated from humans from about 50,000 years ago that were called Cro-Magnons, I think.
Yeah, I think we still have some of those around
And the
here.
Neanderthals were also
Yeah,
considered the
definitely
same
have those.
species, but a subspecies because we could interbreed with
And
those.
we
And some
we
of us
have
go,
some of that DNA too, like that
yeah, I think the
Cro-Magnon.
average white person has like 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA.
Who has the most?
I think like Europeans and Asians like
Let's
have
see.
like black people have none. There's none,
Really?
no Neanderthal. Yeah.
Is that where the whiteness came from? Is it our
No,
Neanderthal supremacy?
the whiteness came from a lot of things, I think,
Oh,
actually, like a lot of migrations. Interestingly, the most genetic diversity of the human species is within the continent of Africa.
yeah,
Um,
I've heard
so
that too.
when people talk about like race science or whatever, and they try to parse it like among white and black people and Asian people, really, most if we were gonna like go by group differences based on genes, almost all of it would just be focusing on black people because that's where most of the racial
This
diversity is.
this article I'm looking at says Europeans have less Neanderthal DNA than East Asians.
Okay, East Asians might have more, but like there are
East Asian people have between 8 and 24% more than people of European, which forms about 2% of their genome.
hmm, yeah, but I was gonna say like there are black African because there's so much genetic diversity in Africa. There are black Africans who are more genetically similar to white Europeans than they are to other black Africans. Because like the only thing that's really similar for Africans as a whole is the dark skin because of the exposure to the sun at those latitudes. That's just one thing they all have in common. But that doesn't mean a lot of their other physical traits are necessarily similar. Um, so it's one of the more obvious ones, uh, and so yeah, you can get a lot of variation that you wouldn't necessarily know by looking. And um, but one thing that all Black Africans have in common is they don't have any Neanderthal DNA. If they do, it's because a European or an Asian found their way in there
Well,
at
but
some point.
because blackness comes in all different shades, and like, does Obama have not Neanderthal DNA? Do you have to be a certain time of black, type, like the right
So,
kind of black?
well, Obama is half white, so if he does have some, it'll be from his white mother. But from his father, he would not have any, zero.
What is your understanding of race, ethnicity, that kind of stuff?
Um,
Ancestry is biological, like it's just 23andMe, but ethnicity is cultural.
Ethnicity seems to like be simultaneously physical and cultural. It seems to be like the interplay of the two. Um,
Because I'm Cajun, and we're not a separate genetic species. Like we're not that distinguishable from French or other Europeans, but we're definitely our own ethnicity.
yeah, so it's like uh it's
And
not
then I
like
think
Russians
the
could just
Jewish
come
culture,
over.
it overlaps. There's some that are ethnically Jewish and culturally Jewish.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like Russians could come over and like go to Louisiana and suddenly like become Cajuns. I don't think it works like that, but it's definitely
Yes, you
like,
can. It's called Cajun by the back door. It's birth, marriage, or the
interesting.
Cajun by the back door, which is you assimilate into our culture and adopt our cultural ways and become Cajun that way.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I feel like I think with words like race and ethnicity, these are things we use to approximate what we see as distinct groups. And um n- these are, these approaches to classifying people are pretty scientific. And so there's a lot of subjectivity to it, and it sort of depends on which traits we think are definitive, and given that time and place, um, are worth their own label. So
Yeah,
um,
that's Roland Barthes has the concept of the ascriptive boundaries, and ethnicities are formed when two cultures encounter each other, and they start to
yeah,
ascribe certain traits to each other and self-ascribe certain traits in relation to this other group, and this kind of linguistic boundary starts to form between the two groups. So the content of the cultures can change throughout time, but
mhm,
the ascriptions that people will apply to the culture stays steady. And so that's
right,
what marks off the ethnicities in his view. And that makes more
yeah. And
sense
so
to
like
me than the other theories.
another thing too is where the cultural part is important is like African Americans are distinct culturally from
I'm
continental
part African
Africans.
American. I grew up in African American culture. I've adopted a lot of my cultural. That's common in Cajun culture for us to have African American cultural
Mhm.
features as well, and a
Yeah, but
Native American.
I don't think I could be accepted or assimilated into the African
No,
American
you'd
group.
have to
I
have
don't
me
think,
with you. Hey,
yeah.
Tommy.
And then so there's definitely like a role that both has. I definitely think with ethnic groups, cultural has a lot more weight than with race. But even with race, a lot of what we see as a race is based on cultural perceptions of what even makes up a race. So like
Well, you know.
A good example is, are you aware of the genetic distribution of the island of Great Britain? Do
Not
you
really.
know how that roughly works?
No, not really.
Okay, so what's interesting is that the genetic makeup is primarily still what we might call Celtic. So if you think of the Celts who lived on the island before the Romans even showed up, it's still primarily that. Even
Yeah,
though the
I
English see themselves as Anglo-Saxon, a Germanic people from um, um, basically what would be modern day Denmark and Germany. In fact, there's still a Saxony in Germany. Um, and uh, there was some introduction of Germanic genetic influence to the island, but it's not nearly as much as people think. Um, and even more interestingly enough, um, if you were to sort of look at the concentration of Germanic genetic influences, if you go by the cultural and historical perspective or narrative, you would think it runs like a north to south. So the farther north you go up Great Britain, basically into Scotland, the more Celtic it would be. And the farther south you go into England, the Anglo-Saxon land, the more Germanic it would be. But actually, that's actually not the case. It's actually more of a west to east distribution. The eastern half of Great Britain, from southern England to northern Scotland, is more Germanic, and the western end of Britain, so basically from what would it be Cornwall? Is that what it's called? To um, to Scotland is more Celtic. Obviously, Wales is going to be pretty Celtic. That was the part that was never truly anglicized completely. Um, but it doesn't align with the perceptions of like where the Anglo-Saxon part begins and ends, and where the Celtic parts begin and end. Um, and so these are things that are much clearer to us in modernity, with the ability to just take genetic samples and compare them. And basically they're saying that people on the western side of Great Britain, whether they're in Scotland or England, have more in common with each other, and they're probably comparing them to like Irish people and other Celtic groups to know that this is in fact these are Celtic genomes. And then they say people on the eastern half of Great Britain, whether they're in Scotland or England, have more dramatic things. So they're comparing them probably to Danes and German people today, and they're getting an idea of how it actually. And it's not surprising when you think about it, because which side of Great Britain was easier for the Danes and the Germans
well,
living
that's what
there
I always
to
thought,
reach?
that that side would be Germanic and the Celtic side closer to
Yeah,
Ireland would be Celtic. I mean, the side closer to Ireland would be Celtic.
right. But like in terms of like what people in the intervening years, right? We're talking about more than a millennium of events since the Germanic migrations into Great Britain. Um, the perceptions that formed was not like a west-east divide, but like a north-south divide, basically between Scotland and England for the most part, and Wales
Oh,
for the.
I've always had an intuitive east-west divide just because of the
Uh,
locations of the countries that contributed to, like the Celtic side was the Irish close to Ireland,
yeah,
and the
um,
Germanic side was close to Scandinavia and Germany, which is the west,
yeah,
the east.
and I think if you were to look in Ireland as well, um, more of the Germanic influences would be around Dublin specifically, and it would be more Celtic as you got into the rest of the island, because the Vikings colonized Dublin. They actually basically founded it, and they had a kingdom there. Um,
Well, here's what ChatGPT has to say about it all. Ethnicity is about cultural identity, which tracks with my own experience of being an ethnic minority. Race is about physical appearance as categorized by society. I grew up with the three scientific races: Negroid, Mongoloid, and Caucasoid. And then ancestry is about biological lineage and geographic origins. The concepts can overlap. For instance, someone might identify as racially black, ethnically Haitian, and have ancestry from West Africa. However, ethnicity tends to emphasize cultural aspects, while race emphasizes physical characteristics. And ancestry
mhm.
focuses on lineage and genetic background. What? You got told off.
Yeah, what did you get told off about?
Who are you talking about, Alan? Anyway, that is that's how I understood it. Is ethnicity
The
is
girls that
culture.
like. Why would they tell you off, Alan?
What? What did they say? Alan, are are these you have to show you have to prove these girls. You just got to get your friends to come on under different accounts and pretend to be Scottish girls. Tell them to come on panel. I've been getting complaints that there's not enough women on panel, although there's nothing stopping them from coming on. Unless we're doing an all male panel, which occasionally happens. But I've offered to do all female panels before, and they did not take me up on it. Okay, well, anything else?
Yeah, I'm just messaging someone right now.
Okay. It's still early here.
He'll arrange for the girls to come up. Okay, send them over here. Yeah, do that. Buy them a plane ticket. But yeah, um, it is interesting though how you know, the way humanity has developed over time doesn't always align with our conceptions. Like some things align, but some do not.
What do you mean?
um, well, like
Oh,
the
like
thing with
the UK example?
yeah, exactly. Like
But that was never
um,
my conception. Like I always had the
no, but I think a lot of English people, especially with the narratives that they've had over time, is like we are Anglo-Saxon. We come from the people who established the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms and then unified into England, and that's just not what the genetic maps say. And then um, there are other things like that where like if you look at France, for example, um, so some of the cultural elements point to this, but like northern France has a more Germanic genetic signature, also a bit more Celtic as well, and then southern France has it's more Mediterranean. They're similar to like Italians and Spaniards in that way.
yeah.
Um,
That all makes sense to me.
and then I'm trying to think of some other interesting ones that are not quite what one would expect. Oh, another interesting one is that J- Jeff, have you had any tree ever? Interesting. Um, is that the like Norwegians and Swedes um are not closely related to the Finns. Now their language is also very different, so that might indicate something. But even though they're all basically very fair-skinned people who live in the north, um, the Finns are more genetically related to people of Central Asia and not people of the European continent. But they ended up looking a lot like other Europeans.
Yeah, all the Finns I know look
Hmm.
white. I can't tell them apart from white people. They're Asian?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, they're Asians. They're
Well,
Central. They're not.
Asians are white now too anyway, so they were just ahead of their time.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Central Asians look very similar to Caucasians. I mean, you got to remember the word Caucasian refers to the Caucasus Mountains in Western Asia. Um, so some of them do look a lot like Europeans anyway. Um, but uh, yeah, there are
But they're
things like
not
that that
Mongoloid
happen.
Asian, is what you're saying. They're
Right,
Caucasoid.
right. They're right. Not East Asian, basically. Not like Chinese or Koreans or Japanese people.
Oh, what? Whoa.
Whoa, hi, all Upper Scandinavian Navy dad wasn't dad. All right, wildlife. You've had a wildlife. It sounds like your real dad had a wildlife too. So give us the deets.
My brother
Oh,
did his, and there was like a tiny bit of sub Saharan African. And I think there was a tiny bit of Asian too.
no KOK was mentioned. What is? The hell is that?
It's phonetic. He's trying to get around the YouTube censors.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that YouTube
Oh,
would censor
Joe,
that.
what brings you back after all these years?
Does that make me new, Joe?
I guess so. Yeah, well, you're actually, I don't know which one showed up first because old Joe was from way back in the day. And then he supposedly was going on this panel break or YouTube break, but he was on all, I've seen him on all the other panels since.
Imagine doing your
Nutrafect.
DNA and finding out that your father isn't your father and that your whole life has been a case of paternity fraud.
Yeah, how did you, what was your reaction while live? How old were you when you found out? This is recent.
Oh, is this like father Italian or
I
something?
had a friend, she has a mom and dad, and she did her DNA test, and she found out that she had like a surrogate. They used a surrogate, like they couldn't get fertilized. So the guy she thought was her dad, the mom actually used a fertilization service, and she's part Jewish, and she has all these Jewish relatives, and she tracked them down, and she found like 30 something relatives she didn't know she had, and she like met them and reconnected with them and everything, all from doing this DNA test.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Oh no, Joe. Yeah, you're being used as a pawn by a not very clever troll. King Stephen, he knows why he was banned, so I don't even have to resurrect that.
Oh, so
he's
Alan,
he's. I didn't realize you were one of his minions, though. He's still sending his minions to fight. He's poor
so
thing.
Alan's just doing a bit for a troll.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it just didn't seem real.
The Scottish girls. I mean, there may be Scottish girls watching you. Who knows? But
It's technically possible. It
you
just
know
seems
what? I'm
very
gonna
unlikely.
check my YouTube analytics and see if it tells me what countries are watching. Sometimes it does. See how many people from Scotland. If it's more than one. Well, there's one other Scottish guy that sometimes comes here. Um, so there may be two.
Yeah, look at
Let's
this. Oh my
see.
days, you got good skin. That's definitely troll material right there.
All right. Top geographies. United States, 71%. Wow, I thought it'd be higher. Canada, 4.2. United Kingdom. Oh, so Scotland wouldn't appear separately, right? It would be part of this UK. Um,
Yeah, now it would.
2.9%, but they don't show. They show the number of views and watch hours. They don't show the number of individual watchers.
Well, if what if they're all in the same room as Alan? Then we wouldn't be able to know for
They
sure.
do cities, though. Let me see if we can do it by city. Wow, okay. The number one city, probably this is from one viewer, is Victoria, BC. And then New York,
Interesting.
Winnipeg, Canada. Who's in Winnipeg? That's got to be not. Is that not Laws?
It could be not laws, actually.
Philadelphia. That maybe that's Hank. He's in Pittsburgh. Who's in Philly? L.A. I should be. Okay, this is semi-doxing. I should be doing this. Okay. Um, wow. This is fast. I didn't know you could break it down by city.
Yeah.
Well, I know who my
Uh,
top viewer is. Ojo, you can come up if you want to talk about ancestry, politics, mental health, anything like that. But if it's to talk about King Stephen or some YouTube drama, that's not up for discussion. So, other than that, yeah, you can come up. You've been up here before. We've had some good conversations.
hmm.
He's another
Let's see what
Canadian.
wildlife said. Well, if you don't want the drama, I can get it. I can imagine it is pretty disappointing to learn that, though.
Yeah, Mr. B, I read that too. They were like taking the white nationalists and inserting fake black DNA in there. And I looked at I did a debunking of it, and I forgot what the result was, but it was partial. It wasn't completely false. Let's see. I spent some
I
time.
don't have skincare. I mean,
Mr. Old Joe. We have Old Joe and New Joe. Young Joe. Is it Young Joe and Old Joe? Maybe we do it that way.
I'm old, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, welcome Old
yeah,
Joe,
he might be older than I am.
one of our another elder.
I think I tend to be a bit younger than a lot of people who come up on these panels.
So, hey, I won't be long, but I wanted to address a comment that you made, Jeff, about me not taking a break from YouTube and being on all of these other panels. I was gone for about 3, 4 months, eh?
Oh,
And then I
okay.
and then when I did come back, like the last, do you remember the last experience I had on your panel? Are you aware with there was a couple guys there. Dennison was one of them. I forget what the other guy's name was.
Oh, I don't remember, but I'm not surprised if that's the people involved.
Well,
It
there
seemed
was.
like it was like maybe even like almost a year ago since you were
I
here.
think it was quite. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. There was a dynamic there that for me wasn't the most productive. We had some great discussions. Remember, we talked about theology and God, but
Mm-hmm.
there got to be this. I think your style as a moderator is to not step in as much. And we actually talked about this specifically. It's to allow kind of an over talking and an interrupting as part of a natural dynamic that
Yeah.
happens. And for me, that I didn't find that the most productive way to have a discussion. So there were other panels that were a little more, structured that way. And I think that that's the great thing about the panel versus there's that variety there, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like when I did come back, I wasn't even aware of what the panel verse was. Like I think your channel was actually one
Oh
of the
no.
first channels that I came onto. And then yeah, I did step back for quite a while. And then I did again after that later for another couple months period or a month anyways. And
Well,
go ahead, sorry.
oh no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was basically it. It wasn't like I was snubbing you or anything. It was that
Oh
I
no, I didn't take it like that at all. You did the right thing. That's what I tell people all the time. Like there's certain norms I have here for a certain population or type of people, and if it doesn't fit particular people's norms, then that is the solution, is to find the places that do fit your norm. I don't take that personally at all. I,
right
I
on,
think
man.
it's a great example of how to handle that.
Perfect. Well, that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I've got into some communities on the panelverse that have allowed me to explore some of this religious. I would say the majority of my panelverse time. I try not to spend too much time on it, but I'm probably at flow states more than I am anywhere else. He
Okay.
has a lot. He has a lot of those. Do you guys get along, or?
Yeah, I think we do. We have a good working relationship. Like I think Sasquatch said it best the other day, that I trust Flo to be Flo, and he doesn't disappoint.
Well,
He
this is
he
the
keeps
thing.
true to expectations.
This is the exact thing that him and I are discussing at this point in time is the authenticity. So if you find something about somebody's character off-putting, is it more easy to accept that if they're genuine, or is somebody that's disingenuous more difficult to put up with? It's been a fascinating discussion that we've been having. And some of the things that people get away with as long as they don't try and conceal who they are. It's been crazy on the panelverse, actually, what I've watched.
I can I can only imagine just from my little corner of it. It's been crazy. Somebody like flows in those other panels. Oh Jesus. But yeah, I think you're right. That's a good point about Flo. He's I think he's authentic in a way that even if you disapprove of him, the authenticity is
It's
still what you appreciate
disarming.
about him.
So here's the question that I have been addressing, that I've been asking myself, and I've come to an answer. But I'm going to ask you and ask me and let me know what you think. Do you think that the panel verse is more or less authentic than the real world?
I've asked that question on here the past few weeks myself. Um, I don't know because I'd have to have more of the real world in the panelverse to see what it exposes about those people as well. Is the panelverse exposing something about real world people that's always been there, but we just didn't have this environment to bring it out? Or is it like creating something new because it's the panelverse that wouldn't necessarily happen in the real world? I don't have a clear answer yet. I think people here are pro- I think they're both. I think the anonymity lets them be more authentic than they'd be in real life, but I think there's a lot of bit playing and as well. Like they're not on here as they are in real life. But I think what is authentic is it's exposing people's like their limbic nature. I think that's coming out on the panelverse despite anybody's attempt to direct it in a certain way. So we're seeing the natural human animal, I think, as it actually authentically exists. But I don't know if that's the authenticity that people are intentionally bringing.
And I agree that's close to what my answer is after having considered it, because there's a lot of lying and grifting. There's people that come up and are completely deceptive. You know, they're not anywhere near, like they project a lie about who they are or project themselves physically or take, you know, their thumbnail is a picture that is totally misrepresenting who they are. But there's also people that speak authentically, and it's my position that the panel versus the anonymity of it and the it's unchained, it's unbridled, so that allows people to be who they are. If you're a liar and a grifter on the panel versus, it's only because that's an authentic part of your personality and you're expressing it in this place where it's safe to do so. So I've
Yeah.
arrived at the conclusion that the panel versus is actually more authentic. It's what's removed are those social constraints that stop some of us from behaving that way in the real world. And you know what's been interesting about the panelverse too is the teams. Like I refuse to be on these teams. I don't know if you know who this
Uh oh.
easy got.
You might have cut out.
Oh, do you still hear? Can you still
Yeah,
hear me?
you
Okay.
I
cut
hear
out
him.
for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear him.
So I was
Oh,
on
I
this.
missed him. I missed about 10 seconds of it.
Okay. So I basically just said that I felt in the end the panelverse was a more authentic expression of people's personality, which is fascinating. Kind of shows you how the traditions and the I guess morality and customs we have chain up a person's morality, and probably for a reason. But the
Yeah,
last thing
that's
I'll
that.
say. So
Oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
That's that primary level of socialization I was looking at earlier on this stream, and I think that is what is getting eroded or disintegrating and allowing those primitive instincts to come through.
Yeah, and you
And
can.
you were mentioning something about groups too, like different groups.
That's right. So this is another thing I've found, and it's fairly hard to bust out of their consequences, but I don't care. I'll walk right through them. I was in Easy, this whatever that verbal combat guy, I
Oh
just made
yeah,
Easy,
speakeasy.
and he was willing to at least discuss it. But you know, it seemed like if I was over at Flows, then I was told in the chat by one of his mods that I had to decide what bus I got on. So I jumped up on panel and I said, why is this the case that your moderators are telling people what bus do I need to get on? And it was basically just accepted. Well, this is the way it is, you know. And it's so phony. Like, who cares? You know, how important are these people? How important am I or anybody else in this space? And yet these teams are so carefully guarded. Like, you know, even I was just over in King Stephen's panel. I don't talk to, I've been probably in his channel 3, 4 times. I've been up on his panel, but I legitimately thought that he didn't know. Uh, we don't have to address it. What I'm saying is that that seems to be a different faction of the panelverse,
Oh
and
yeah.
he speaks the same way about you as you speak about him, and to
I
me
don't
it
really
seems.
speak about him.
Well, and that could be true too. It didn't seem like you were that fond of him. But anyways, taking it away from that, because I know you asked me not to address that person, which I won't. It seems like there's these factions that almost form hard walls, and then they'll shift, and you'll get breaks in the faction, and two guys that were friends will split up. It's fascinating, but it also seems to me to be a little bit counterproductive. I don't know what you think.
It is yes, depending on one's goals, it can be counterproductive. But I also think it's unavoidable. Like that's what happens when people get together. The tribalism, the factions. Um, That's just group dynamics, and it happens in a panelverse here in a way that we can observe it real time, and it archives it so it like freezes it in time, and we can go back and study it. And you don't get that in real life. You only experience the event once, and then you have your memory to go off of.
So you think this tribalism is something that we would resort to? Like, have you ever read Lord of the Flies?
Yeah, yes, yes. I call it the Hobbesian state of nature, or the satanic, the hellscape. That is
Well,
human nature released from all societal constraints.
so
Yes, this raw
yes,
reality.
the last thing I'll
Except it's
say.
also a produced, manufactured reality at the same time
Oh, I
on a
agree.
lot of
I agree.
people's part.
The last thing I'll say before I leave is, while I consider myself an orbiter and a hanger on, an occasional commenter in the panelverse, you have the person who I consider the number one non-content creator, the number one fan. I've named him so on several panels, and that's Chuck in Tennessee. I think he deserves the number one panelverse fan spot, and he's in your chat right now. So,
He is our revered elder.
all
He
right,
has
well,
a
hey,
place of
Mhm.
honor here.
hey, thanks for having me up. Eh?
Joe, it was good catching up. Take care. I appreciate
Okay,
your thoughts.
see you later. Bye.
Take care. Oh, that was good to reconnect.
Yeah, reconnecting with all the Joes.
Yeah.
Is there like a
We have
third
the
and a fourth
best
one?
Joes. Huh?
Nobody has Joes. I was gonna say, is there a third and a fourth Joe that might be coming up at some point?
I'm trying to think if there's any other. There's Joe Cool. He was here last night.
Oh yeah, there's that guy. I
Yeah,
don't
Mr.
really
Mr.
know
Joe
him.
Cool is the biggest Karen in the panelverse. He is the biggest white lady in this entire panelverse because every time he's on a panel, he's tried to police etiquette and raise everybody, get them to talk the proper way and have the right level of emotion.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've really seen much of him.
Yeah, we thank you. That's what we're trying to do. Now that we've swept out all the drama, maybe the cool guest will come back. Because if you go back on my earlier episodes of the channel, I actually have actual guests that I bring on, and we have one-on-one conversations, and we talk about mental health topics and all kind of stuff. I would love to get back to that, like Q&As.
Mhm. Looking at the chat here, let's see. Like to think that Faker is being stripped here, there, your morality and strength is being applied again. At least I hope.
Yes, I am certainly trying. Maybe not morale, strength for sure. I am certainly trying to apply something beyond the fakery um, to it. If it's getting stripped away, then nature abhors the vacuum. Something's got to replace it.
Reality is raw. Self-survival is raw again. I don't exactly know what that means, but it seems interesting.
I think it's what we see in the panelverse. It's
Could be.
it's
Oh,
I
like why
should
people are always like reacting to things? It's
I
like,
showed it earlier. This is how we start out, and we get socialized and adjusted to society. And I think the panelverse loosens that up and returns us to this primitive pre-social state.
mm,
But it can also loosen up this and provide a path to these higher states as well. And it's just what the individual potential is and what their desires and abilities are. So I think the panelverse could do, but what the panelverse is doing is it's eroding that socialization, and I think that's that rawness that he's talking about. Oh
yeah.
wow, it's oh my god, this is it's calming to be here. You don't know how much. Oh, wow, that is the most affirming thing I've heard all day. After all the drama storms of the past few months, somebody finds it calming. I feel
Well,
like I've succeeded. I feel like I
I
could
was,
just end now.
yeah, I was beginning to worry that it might be taking its toll on you, Jeff. And I think,
Well, I said on the like an earlier stream yesterday, day before,
uh,
that it's disintegrating some things, and it's going to take a few days for that process to happen. But it's disintegrating the stuff it needs to disintegrate so that the better stuff can emerge. And that's how positive disintegration is supposed to work.
Yeah. And I think um when I'm on your panel, it's definitely like when you try to make it like a safe space for, I don't even like the word
I
safe
hate that word.
space, but yet what else are we going to say at this point? Because it does describe certain environments pretty well if you want to like have a narrow focus
Well,
without intrusion.
it's a
Um,
curated space,
yeah,
but I don't want
we'll say
people to
that.
have the expectations that they're going to necessarily be safe here. It's definitely
Yeah,
safe for emotions, but I think that makes it unsafe for everything else.
yeah, and um, like I'll put it this way, right? So on my channel, I wouldn't really be particularly interested in discussing some of the things I discuss here, like some of the more like things related to political things or the culture wars, which connects to a lot of topics you bring up. Um, I mean, I would really just want to keep it a dry focus on stocks and investing
Mhm.
on my channel, and so because I would not want it to be detracted by that stuff over there. I want that stuff to be uh, productive.
Yeah,
Um,
that's your
my channel would
brand
not
too.
be,
You want to keep your
yeah.
brand pure.
Um, and so um, it's it's basically something where I know I could rather freely have a conversation outside of that narrow constraint with little um you know chance of it escalating badly for me. Like I haven't really had anything, I haven't had any particularly bad experiences on the panel here. I've sort of been witness to some, but none that really dragged me into it.
Yeah.
um Even if there's the occasional troll in the comments that seems to make jabs at me, because I think mostly because they're really just trying to make jabs at you and they're just using me as a conduit.
Oh,
I
and I
don't even
think
think
they're
it's really
taking
about me.
jabs at me because they're trying to take jabs at a certain other person too. So we're all proxies for that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think um the I think if anything they're more thinking that if they make jabs at me it will upset you, and then um
Why would it
interfering with
upset
me.
me?
I don't think that you're happy to see that you might not be happy to see people getting trolled who are your panel guests, right?
Well, I mean, if they're being malicious, I'll block them or ban them or whatever. But
Yeah.
I really haven't seen people go at you that
It's
viciously.
only been like I think a couple things in like the 3 weeks or so I've been hanging around here, so it's really not been much. But I understand like that's like the context of it, and it's pretty minor stuff.
Yeah. And some of
Um,
that's just the price of admission to YouTube in general. Like, you're going to have
there
that
is that.
anywhere.
Um, let's see. Wildlife said cerebral thinking and growing into better things. Absolutely love the financial advice. Thank you. Well, I should clarify. None of what I do really is financial advice because, um, and that's not like a disclaimer thing. Like a lot of people will say this is not financial advice as a cover your ass thing, and I don't do that. Like I don't start things and say, hey, this isn't financial advice, but rather financial advice is recommendations based on an individual and personal situation. So if I took note of the details of your financial situation and then gave you advice, so here's how much you should keep in cash, here's what you should probably have invested, here are the debts you should pay off first, here's the debts that you should just let mature and pay off on time, don't get ahead. All that stuff would be financial advice. Um, my stuff is more Um, it's more, you could say, financial literacy, particularly as it pertains to investment analysis, which, could maybe lead people to um, make better decisions about their finances later on. Um, I think another thing too about advice is that it's more of a, in an abstract way, giving a man a fish than teaching him to fish. Whereas what I do, I think, is more teaching you to fish rather than giving you a fish. Like I'm not necessarily going to tell you what you should do right now with whatever, but I do sort of try to talk about things that you can pick up knowledge and eventually apply it down the road for, completely different situation than may be the case when you're, on my channel watching me, or watching me as I talk to Jeff and I happen to talk about this stuff. Um, but I think a lot of the people who say this is not financial advice I really wish that they would not put that disclaimer so much, because a lot of what they're doing is so obviously not financial advice. Like saying, here's how docs work. Of course, that isn't fucking financial advice. Um, but and I think it's gotten to the point where if you ever say anything about finances that is somewhat informative, people think, oh, it's financial advice. No, the real part where it gets odious is when you um, try to give people actual advice and you take their money to do it, like they pay you a fee to do it. And then you don't have their best interest at heart, and you might recommend things that maybe are helpful for you if you have maybe some certain financial services or products in addition to the advice, which some people are known to do. That's where it gets really odious and a bit scammy. But social media influencers need to stop saying that so fucking much.
Well, just
Yeah, I
become
did
a
say
better
odious.
influencer.
Mhm.
Hey, Zach,
I did say
if
odious.
you become a better influencer, people will start listening to you instead of them, and then you'll
Maybe.
have the influence.
I actually had someone tell me one time, um, like one thing that immediately like won them over to, I think it was a TikTok I had made. I've been making stuff on TikTok lately, that I did not start out by saying this is not financial advice, and the fact that I didn't do that made them feel better about the content.
Yeah, I can see that. It's it's not as condescending, it's patronizing.
All right, so since Zach pointed out, I'm gonna have to think of a way to work the word odious into my next job title.
I think of Guar every time I hear that word.
Guar?
Yeah,
Who's Guar?
the band
Oh,
that rock band that dresses up like monsters.
do they have a song called Odious?
No, I think isn't that one of the let me see
Oh,
that.
is that a? Oh, I just looked it up. So there's a band member called
Yeah, they
Odorous
have different
Urungus.
characters. They take different names. And
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Odorous, that's what I'm thinking of. Odorous Surungus. He died. He was like the lead singer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But
Odious means
I still think
contemptible,
of Gore
basically.
when I hear the word odious. Yeah, I love Gore. Oh my god, I love Gore so much, especially as I say, not necessarily their music, but they're performance artists. They're like a theater troupe, and I really love what they do.
Oh, and they wear antler-looking things.
Yeah, it's like campy monster drag.
That's exactly you.
Yeah, maybe I need to get the antlers back.
Hmm. Well, Shameless did say that you are a bit of a diva, so I'm not surprised. She also said that while noting that you are a good egg. So just for
A
context.
good egg diva. I've called myself head diva too. This is a
Hmm.
autocracy, an autocracy, and I'm the
I think
diva.
Shameless is probably one of your biggest fans, but
Oh well, I like
that's
Shameless.
just my
She
that's just my reading of the of the
I
of
like
the
Shameless because she
environment.
makes sense, and when she observes things, we seem to notice the same thing and draw similar conclusions. And I tend to trust people that align that way.
Yeah, Shameless. Um. For one, she actually responds promptly to DMs. So that's nice.
The what?
A lot of people. She responds promptly to DMs. A lot of people don't do that.
Oh, does that irritate you?
Well, I mean, I'm usually pretty responsive. Even when though, like even if I'm not on my laptop a bunch or whatever, on a particular day, I'm usually pretty responsive when I get messages.
That's what keeps us attached to our phones. I want to normalize not responding until you're done with everything else in your life, and then you have time to unplug and replug into this.
You may have a point. It may be a measure of how too
Like this
online I am.
pressure to I'm in the middle of this movie, but Joe texted me, and I don't want to wait for 2 hours to text him back. So while I'm in the movie, let me respond to him. That's what keeps us so like split at a tension crazy.
That's right. I have to have all my attention on the Matrix.
Well, that's part of the matrix now. All of these text and we have like 20 screens now. We have to keep up with instead of just one.
Exactly. We're in the matrix.
But we also have agency and we are in control of all of that. How many screens we let dominate our attention at any one time.
Exactly. There is no spoon. All right. Well, are people saying anything else? Um, no. Something else, Wildlife. I'm glad you liked the content so far. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already. Um, Still trying to get over whatever the milestone hump is for YouTube
Oh, for you,
subscribers.
are you trying to monetize?
Yeah, long term, yeah. I'm trying to um broaden this out so that it's not just what I do on Seeking Alpha. I think it'll be easier to scale things if I'm not just doing things on Seeking Alpha. I think I'm kind of hitting a near term ceiling on Seeking Alpha.
It took me a while to get to 500, and the thing that got it over was the drama. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
So if
And
you
I'm
if
lucky
you
that I
can,
even have a few dozen right now, which just I kind of accidentally picked up over the years, and I think people just never unsubscribed. But I'll take it.
you can always make that deal with the devil, the drama devil.
Yeah, no, no, thank you. I just, especially with the kind of channel I want.
Right.
Um, um. Oh, I'll be good, Alan. And you tell the Scottish ladies to be good.
It's be well. Good day, Joe.
Oh, be well.
So don't
I've
just
got
be good. Be well.
I've got those late night eyes. I'm not seeing things right. Yeah, although there can be drama in the investing community. People want to
Yeah,
start stuff.
there's drama anywhere you have two humans
Yeah.
sharing a space. You are going to have drama if given enough time. There's probably a mathematical equation for it.
Yeah. Well, I see it on Seeking Alpha even in like the comment sections. People just want to prove like how smart they are. Like, you don't know anything about this business. Ha 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 ha, I made
Because
double
it's
my money.
status.
Exactly. And I would think like if I double my money and I'm a millionaire now, I don't know why I'd feel the need to like is flexing in the comment section really going to be add that much to it? I
Well,
would
I
think
guess getting the millions didn't satisfy whatever that
you know,
urge
well,
was to
I mean, if I had
flex.
that money, I'd just be out doing cool stuff. I'd be like, all right, nice.
You talked- Were they awake? Okay, well maybe
I still think this is some kind of troll,
I
maybe a benevolent troll, but um yeah, if when there are Scottish girls in the panel and we're hearing female Scottish voices, okay,
yeah.
then I will buy it. Or if
Well, they have
they
those
suddenly,
AI voice changers now.
God damn it, you're okay. So when Scottish women knock on my fucking door, okay, then it's real. Till then,
Yeah, but that's what a player would say.
that's exactly what a player would say.
Waffle, are you talking about the Saturday morning cartoon thing with the live action with oh my god, I used to watch that. I was a dinosaur nut growing up, and the intro to that show is one of my favorite intros. Yeah, have a good night. We'll see you again.
Yeah, good night, wildlife. And I'm gonna go too, Jeff. Another good evening panel.
All right, yeah, you too. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming up.
All right. See you later, guys.
Okay, have a good rest. We'll see you around. What sorority? Delta, Delta, Delta. Well, girl, we gotta see what happens. I'm trying to think. Who's Lawrence Cheney? That was the Scottish drag queen. Lawrence Cheney. He was. I miss him. All right. I guess unless somebody else wants to come up, I guess I'll wind it down too. I think I've had a good day. And I'll be here again tomorrow. I'll do some topic in the morning, and then you met Lawrence Cheney? Cool. Which I met oh, hang on. I got to show you the video. You're going to love this. Let me find it. This is before COVID, but there was a Pride here in Seattle. I'll show you the video first, and then I will explain. Let's see. How do I find it? I have to figure out which file I have it in. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, I think I found it. It's very slow. Oh, you know what? I think there's going to be copyright music in it, so I'll have to play it on mute. Yeah, there's copyright music. I'm just gonna. The song is I think it's RuPaul's you know that song I'm sickening, I'm sickening. So imagine that song playing. This happened at Pride one year. Let me see if I figure out how to do this. All right, here we go. See that limo she's standing next to? I got a picture of her too. I got a picture with her. That is Miss Latrice Royale. And what Seattle was doing that Pride, they had this thing where they had limos riding around the town with drag queens in them, and they would randomly stop and get out of the limo and start performing. And you could go up and take. And me and my friend were just walking down the street, and all of a sudden this limo pulls up, and Latrice Royale gets out of it, and she has like a little boom box, and she starts playing a song and doing a dance like feet from us. And I'm like, oh my God. And then after it was over, I ran up to her. And I'm like, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? She's like, of course, baby. Come on here, get your picture. Let me see if I can find that picture. Shit, where would that be? Oh my God. It's going to take me forever to find this picture because it could be anywhere. But I do have a picture of me and Latrice. I what? Well, the new season's about to wrap up, but I watch it every Sunday with a friend on Zoom. We get together and watch it live. So if y'all want to start watching RuPaul together, y'all are welcome to show up. No, I have not, Zat, but after this is over, I'm gonna go watch that Sick of You video that Barbara told us about. Hey, Kate, how's work? Right now they're doing it's the Global All Stars because I don't know if y'all know this, but RuPaul has expanded. And like almost every major country in the world now has a version of RuPaul's Drag Race. And so some of the contestants from all the different countries are doing like one big international All Stars. And they're down to the final four. And our US queen is still in it, Alyssa Edwards. Let me see if I can tongue pop. I've never been good at tongue popping, but she's the famous tongue popper. Anyway, that's about as good as I'm gonna tongue pop. Oh, it's on Paramount. It's CBS. It's on MTV, but MTV is now part of Paramount, so I get it through Paramount. But Wow Presents, which you can, it's very affordable. If you subscribe to the Wow Presents website, it's like $4 or $5 a month. You get all the international versions, and some of those are fun to watch too. So yeah, I watch every season. I've been watching RuPaul. So when I lived in New Orleans in 2000, I lived in the French Quarter, a few blocks from Bourbon Street. And during the day while my boyfriend was at work, I would go hang out at the bars. And every afternoon, around 3 or 4, 5, they kind of started to get off a work crowd. Bianca Del Rio was at Oz doing drag queen bingo, and I would go almost every day. And she'd give out prizes. She was hilarious and funny. In fact, I remember one day I won a prize. I got the bingo and I was all excited. I called up my bingo. And Bianca Del Rio is an insult comic. She insults everybody. Um, in fact, I'll play a video of her insulting some people. She gives good reads. And I was going up to get my prize, and I was working part time at this fine dining restaurant, so I had this waiter's uniform. I had like black pants, a white shirt, and on the way from work, I would stop at Drag Queen Bingo, and so I had my uniform on. And I was all excited. I was in my uniform. I was going up to get my prize, and she made some crack about, "That's right. Come up and get your prize. Special ed kid," or something, like trying to pass yourself off as normal. And I'm like, oh my God, how rude, how insulting. But I was honored that I got zinged by her too. But she was picking up on that's before I even knew I was autistic. She was picking up on, there was something about me that was weird because she was using it in her insults. Um, Let me find this Bianca video. Yeah, this is one of her famous. I hope there's no music on it. Okay, this is some woke Hispanic person trying to social justice her and put her through a struggle session and call her out for some of her concerts. Watch her response. This is how you deal with wokeness.
When you have a microphone, you need to respect what you say, because a lot of people hear you, and you know what? You might have a lot of talent, but you just disrespected a whole community, man.
Honey, it's a comedy show. Stop taking it up the ass.
It was about Hispanic people.
Now listen, what's your name? What's your name?
The Latino community pays your bills, baby.
I wish, you know what I wish? The Latino community would pay their own fucking bills. Bitch, I'm gonna tell you this. Two things happened just now. You think you're telling me a story? I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm a man in a wig who's done this for 18 years.
Sounds like me. This is New Orleans, y'all. See the passion?
Yes, I have a microphone now, and I know you have a microphone tomorrow when you run in that drive-thru. What I want you to know is that if I want your bullshit, I'll drive to your motherfucking window, queen. So don't come up here and place your order with me. You want me to piss you off worse? Selena is dead. Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I hate? I hate it when my dad shows up. It's... All right, I think we know.
All right. So yeah, I used to go, and then she ended up on RuPaul, and I was like, ever since. Brandon Rogers. I'm not even sure who that is. Is he a YouTuber? Let me look him up. See, I'm looking him up now, though. That's back when drag queens were fun and cool. And now we got, Dylan Mulvaney, Jeffrey Marsh. Okay. She's an insult comic. She's making a joke and insulting the person that just tried to come up and shut her down over some woke bullshit. And the whole audience laughed, so it's a successful joke. It landed. It was funny. That's the only requirement I have from a joke. All the moralists that want to get their panties wrinkled up over it can. But there's more where that came from. That's how Drag Queen Bingo was. She would insult you. She'd call out the bingo numbers, and she'd make fun of the people in the audience, and then you'd come up to get your prize, and she'd like just dress you down and just give this blistering insult while you're in front of the crowd getting your prize. And it was all fun. Everybody, all she said was that Selena is dead. She didn't say anything about getting shot or anything. And to me, it was a well-earned insult. If you go low, they go lower. Okay, I have his channel pulled up now. In fact, I'll drop it. This is Brandon Rogers, everybody. He's new to me too, so. Yes, that's right. She was. What are they going to do with them? Not lost. I can only imagine. Are they going to stock them full of village people and then send them into the harbors? All right, I think I might wrap up and go watch some Guar and maybe this Brandon Rogers person. And you know what? Spike is doing his radio music, retro radio. So I'll send you. I'll put Spike's link. Maybe you can go check out Spike. Ooh, like it's like video game sounds and stuff. Anyway, check out Spike. He's doing his radio or something. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. We'll do it again. All right. Take care, everybody.